So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the Bank of England being reluctant to talk about Brexit harm, says Bank of America, obviously a big multinational bank, Bank of America. The Bank of England governor Andrew Bailey faced a Brexit row on Friday when he was accused of being reluctant to talk about the harm caused by Brexit, quitting the EU to avoid upsetting the government. And this is an issue, right? Because the Bank of England aren't meant to be political. You know, they got very annoyed at Mark Carney, miss you, bro. Mark Carney, about being quite political, and he was warning about some of the outcomes of Brexit, right? And now he's being political by omission, in the sense of he's not talking about Brexit. Andrew Bailey, I'm talking about here. He's not talking about Brexit because he doesn't want to upset the government. You know, when they talk about the inflation figures, he doesn't mention Brexit. Why? Brexit is, you know, the food prices have gone up 6% on last year. You know, are you saying Brexit hasn't had an impact on that? It's madness. It said we would note our impressions that the Bank of England has been reluctant to talk about one of the key supply shocks hitting the UK, Brexit. This is the Bank of England in the London office with its UK Economic Viewpoint report. So they've done a report on it, and they've noticed Andrew Bailey being very quiet on this. And how is a country meant to resolve issues if they don't talk about the issues? It was notable, for instance, during Bailey's interview with Adam Posen, it contains, in our view, very little reference to the issue. That's according to the Bank of England's report, Bank of America's report, that in an interview, Andrew Bailey makes very little reference to Brexit, even though it's one of the big things facing the country. That, and obviously the shockwaves of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The Bank of England declined to comment. Shock. You know, it looks like Andrew Bailey loves talking, yet he's on a comment on this. A Lib Dem spokesperson, Sarah Olney, MP for Richmond Park, insisted that the damage caused by Brexit was clearly evident and should be highlighted. I mean, that's your job as an MP as well, is to highlight these things. She says, we're seeing goods get backed up in the ports, which is true. You see massive queues at Dover, huge ones. Businesses swamped with red tape and trade falling. Exports are falling. Exports to the EU are falling dramatically. And you know who's going to mop up the business? Other EU member states. People up and down the country can see this firsthand. I don't think that's true. I think the only ones who could see it really firsthand are the people who live in ports. And the Bank of England should be reporting on this, not muting their comments to appease the government. And she's right. The Bank of England should not be quiet on this. But you know, Andrew Bailey, being a Brexiteer, he can't shy away from this. The Bank of England does mention Brexit in some of its documents and speeches, but not a lot of them, evidently. The OBR, which is more independent than the Bank of England, estimates that both exports and imports will be around 15% lower in the long run had the UK stayed in the EU. I don't know if imports will be that badly hit, purely because we are still, I think, importing more stuff from the EU. We're going to be more reliant on the EU now because our farms are struggling and manufacturing is struggling, and also the fact that we're not doing physical inspections. We're moving to a purely digital border by the sounds of it, according to Rees-Mogg. So I'd imagine that imports will go up from the EU because we'll be more reliant on imports. Bailey said Bailey is already under pressure over the bank not forecasting earlier that inflation was set to skyrocket to 9% points. I think he predicted it was going to be around the 3 or 4% figure. The Bank of England were way off on this. He also faced controversy giving an apocalyptic warning about food shortages caused by Vlad's invasion of Ukraine. MPs accused him of being too alarmist, but we are seeing problems. You know, Ukraine, a massive exporter of agri-foods. We are seeing problems, but you know, I think the reason why MPs are annoyed is because once you warn of food shortages, you can further create one because people are, oh God, a food shortage, I need to buy everything I can see. And then you got these idiots who'll do panic buying, and it drags everyone else in with it. We saw that during the pandemic. It was madness. World food chiefs warn that millions of people could die unless Odessa and other ports in Ukraine are opened up for exports within weeks. I genuinely think, right, people in Ukraine, the people in Odessa and the other ports in Ukraine have way more things to worry about than a global food shortage. Let's be honest here, they are fighting for their lives in a war against Russian occupational forces. You know, people who I'll say, oh, Ukraine has to do more, otherwise we're going to face a world shortage. Like, are you stupid? They've got bigger problems to worry about. But yeah, the Bank of England shying away from Brexit. Is anyone surprised by that? I'm not. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.